Only one game stands in the way from our first elimination. It'll either be Team 8 or Nomia. And Nomia, having lost the last game, we know that they'll get to choose if they want first pick or Battleground choice. So I want to hear from everyone on this, starting with you, Tetcher. Do you want them to go for a Battleground pick, or do you want them to just make sure they go for first pick?
Battleground 100%. They have shown where they are strong, and that is in teamfight maps. If they give that opportunity over to Team 8, Team 8's just going to go Sky Temple. And that's just going to be it.
Yeah, I think you go with the Battleground just because if you go for first pick, Zeratul gets banned out. And that's the only thing they've really prioritized for a first pick. So they're comfortable going away with the 1 and 2 pick.
I would agree with that as well. And I am really impressed by them. I would never have thought that we are at this point where we're not only at a one-on-one situation, but where the last game just could have ended either way, just depending on the outcome of one single team fight.
Yeah, I think that we can say that safely for this series in general. Now, looking at how that last game was, but it does come down to this. It's time for the Battleground bans. We had bans on Towers of Doom and Dragonshire, and we went to Battlefield of Eternity and Infernal Shrine, so game number 3 will be on.
Cursed would be good for them. I'd like to...
Braxis.
I don't know how I feel about that.
Wow, so we're going to end on a doozy, if you will, right?
Yep.
A different Battleground for our teams. This is one that I actually feel like teammates actually pretty good at here. Looking at my notes, they are currently 5-0 on Braxis holdout. So actually, this is a Battleground that they are comfortable playing on. So we'll see if Nomia can make something happen.
What I really like with their play so far was how they used globals in terms of, like, especially the false start with the fly-ins. I'm actually curious to see if maybe even Team 8 is saying, hey, we are either going to take it away or ban it out, because I feel this is really one of the best heroes that they have in the setup right now for Arcana. And if he gets these fly-ins again for these kills, that could be one of the reasons why they're saying, hey, we're going to play Pegasus.
Yeah, I wonder if that Falstad may even just be a targeted ban, but then the Zeratul is available.
Yeah.
There's so much to keep in mind for these teams, and it is time for that draft. So we're heading into Braxis holdout.
I mean, at this point, we're, of course, starting once again with at least like thinking about what happens if the Zeratul is being picked up here. I mean, this is a little bit of a different map. The globals are going to play a huge role here. We could see that the Haka again that you already mentioned a bit earlier, Trixler. I am still aiming to see the Falstad coming into play once more for Nomia. But yeah, it's interesting to see that they picked this map, and I have to say, after the last few games, I'm sure that they have a strategy prepared here.
All right, Nomia, thinking about what they want to get rid of. I think the Zeratul ban is safe. Teammates ran Falstad a couple of times in the HGC, but hasn't really showed it off too much, so Nomia could have the chance here to take that gamble and get it for them.
The Falstad is very unlikely to be a single first pick material for Team 8. A Zeratul would be.
Yes.
So the Zeratul ban, there's no way Team 8 are going to let them have it, so just don't give it to Glaurung.
I mean, at this point, you can see that they're actually hovering the Haka, and they hesitate for a long time here. I mean, they're thinking about a ban on Zeratul for sure, but I actually believe that banning out a Dehaka wouldn't be too bad either.
They might call the bluff here of Team 8. So if they ban out Dehaka and Ragnaros goes to Team 8, then suddenly Zeratul can go over to Nomia. You have this weird back and forth that goes on.
Ban Rag.
They ban Rag instead.
So this should be a Zeratul pickup by Team 8. No, Zarya first pick by Team 8. So Nomia, Malfurion, and Gul'dan. The Zeratul not getting as much value on this map.
Maybe not valuing as much as maybe a Fnatic would on this Battleground, so maybe that's why they chose to come to Braxis holdout. Let's see if we can set ourselves up to do well in the 4-man rotation, make sure we have a safe laner, and then even if our opponents do get Zeratul, we should be fine.
Like you said, calling the bluff there, banning out the Rag, which would have also been absolutely incredible for Team 8. That was an excellent call. So really liking what Nomia are doing here. This is different from what we have seen them. Similar heroes to what we have seen in general, but in a different style and a different order.
One of the things that I'm a little bit curious about is if Team 8 in any way reacts to that priority that we have seen from Nomia on heroes like either Falstad or Muradin. Both are huge comfort picks, and I think with a team like Nomia, one of the problems that they have to have is hero pools. Because this is something, if you think a year back when we were looking at Europe, when we were looking at Europe and North America, a lot of teams were struggling with that. So if you ban out huge comfort picks or take them away, then I feel you can make a lot work in your favor.
So a third pick to Lieutenant Morales. I don't dislike it.
Yeah, normally we're probably going to see an Ariel ban. Even though there's Malfurion on the other side, you could have Malfurion and Ariel, and that bottom lane with Gul'dan is clearing like crazy and you'll be good to go. But Morales just being with Bala isn't too bad of a pick, especially when you have Zarya shields to make sure you're set up for band-aids and you just have that strong bottom lane setup and Scouting Drone at the same time, which Scouting Drone naturally becomes kind of the soft counter to the Zeratul pick if Nomia were still thinking about it.
Yeah, Morales, we're seeing her most of the time with Medivac just to keep herself safe, really, but it's a strange thing.
I'm thrown off by the priority.
Yeah, this is the issue that I have. I don't disagree with the Morales. I think it could have come later, but fitting it in here hides what comes later.
Gilly, this is something that we see in North America a lot.
Oh yeah, this
Morales
is
always
total
top three.
NA special.
so
like I know you guys were a little confused, but I'm just like, it's par for the course. Zarya first pick, Morales after. Yeah, it's very standard for NA.
We have Team EU here. We have the two HGC EU casters, the HGC Open Division casters. It's confusing.
From a logical point of view, the Malfurion is picked by Nomia first. You're not going to see them pick the Morales away. Do you really feel they're going to ban it?
It is just hiding. That's all I can think of. They're just hiding what they're picking next.
I mean, there's going to be one tank. What are you going to hide? It's like, you're not going to run that Zarya solo. That's just not going to happen.
I'm just trying to think what tank they could hide. Stitches, calling it.
The impressive. Zeratul ban, Varian ban. Now we have our third and fourth pickup for Nomia. Is this the battleground where we see Sonya come out? I'm lending a little bit towards Dahaka.
Okay, I'm calling it now. Shogal incoming.
Oh. Really?
You got the wrong NA team here, buddy.
But this is the only thing that would make sense.
I like this, picking the double tank, taking the options away from Team 8 here, so I'm okay with that. So what, you're Shogal for Team 8?
Yeah, Nomia.
It was like more of a joke, but yeah, I mean, then the Morales now would make sense.
But
it's an A, you're right,
exactly.
it fits.
Falstad, sensible, taking it away from Arcana, which would have been a very suitable last pick for Nomia, and the Johanna to finish up Team 8's roster.
So in retrospect, I like what Nomia's done here. They banned out Ragnaros, which one is Prismatic's best heroes, obviously. We see heavy prioritization for Team 8. They also choked out the other top laners they would assume would go up there, with it being Dahaka. So they've put their opponents in a situation where we go, okay, we dare you. We want to see what you do with a top laner that's not Ragnaros. Falstad's the answer, so you throw Falstad in the top lane and you just have him float down. And the 4-man rotation is very good for Team 8. They have Clear with Johanna, they have Vala with basically double support with Zarya being that pseudo support, so they're in a good spot. But Nomia can't hold with that wave clear.
I like the setup for Team 8 a lot. Then again, Nomia has been looking so strong during the last few games. This is a little bit tricky for me to actually call this here. We need a little more damage on Nomia's side for sure, and I think it's a smart thing of Team 8 that they are saying like Vala and Falstad, we pick those two away. Tigers is amazing, but I feel that so far Nomia was way more comfortable on the other two heroes.
I would agree. They've taking the Falstad away from Arcana is interesting, although I expect it could be him or John playing the Gul'dan. I believe both have had opportunities on that hero.
So we're looking at Falstad versus Dahaka top lane. You mentioned that, Trixler. Obviously, that is not your normal setup. They would have liked to have Ragnaros to go up against that Dahaka. So now the pressure now is put onto teammates 4-man.
Yeah. The 4-mans are going to be the name of the story for this game, but it's kind of weird. The top laners, you kind of let them go up there and they just brawl and they do whatever. But now that we have 2 globals in the top lane, it becomes this weird scenario where it's like, all right, well, we have the strong 4-man, but who blinks first when it comes to the globals to run down the bottom lane and get a pick? Falstad, I think, has the better control in terms of the rotation, but Dahaka has the better lane presence. He pushes a little bit better. So it's this weird tug of war that's going to be happening. If Dahaka's allowed to be up there longer, I can see Falstad having a bit of a problem overall.
Dahaka also rotates a little bit quicker, just much louder in terms of actually getting to the bottom lane.
All right, guys. We have to do it because this series has come down to the wire. I want to do predictions starting with you, Kaldor.
I like the draft of Team 8 better, but I'm rooting for the Aussies. Having spent a year in Australia, I have to. I'm sorry, Trick.
Why are you saying it's hard to me, man?
You're shaking your head the moment I try and start talking.
It's a hard question. It's like everything back and forth. I got my heart suddenly built into ANZ like crazy. I look at Team 8. I think they have a strong draft, but I think I'm going to go with the Kangaroos. I'm going with ANZ here to walk away with the victory.
I am also going to be going with ANZ. I like the tank choke.
All right, take it away, Dread and Grubby.
Here it comes down to the final game to determine which team is going to get eliminated in 7th and 8th place here in the HGC Western Clash. It's between Team 8 from North America and Nomia from ANZ. And here they are. Braxis holdout now. They can decide to do a 4-man matching in the bottom lane. But against Morales and Zarya, you were mentioning, Dread, could be tough.
It is very tough. That being said, Falstad doesn't do necessarily well into the Dahaka matchup until post 7. So I can actually see Team 8 questioning whether or not they really want to force that until they hit the 7 mark as well. It is the the draft has made for this really interesting opportunities on both directions for the early game. But for now, it seems that Team 8 as postured with a normal 4-man. So we'll keep track of the Dahaka matchup there into the fall set. But again, the pushing won't be nearly as heavy up until that 7 mark with that boomerang.
Power slide on Zarya. Thank you. 50% energy and no damage taken. Morales has removed that damage. And she's going to remove all that damage very easily. Very mana efficient healing. Everyone is back up to full. And Yoda starting to put out some serious damage. And Zarya Morales, very strong 4-man.
It absolutely is, and we have to keep in mind, though, because we see Team 8 pulling away a little bit with the draft overall, and out of their style is what I mean by that, is that we have Glarong on a range. He is going to be on the ball. It's not the first time we've seen it. You know, in the past, he used to play a lot of ball. Take a minute, though. That is going to be a huge combo. Yoda barely keeps up. Bud's doing a good job with the heal beam.
Safeguard helped a lot. It does mean Morales is... okay, that's about all our mana pool, but can he go for a quick Hearthstone here? They get the globe. The globe generator is an impactful contention point.
In case anybody was wondering why Morales is so heavy on Braxis Holda, if you just looked at 15 seconds ago, everybody on Team 8's health was sitting at 25%. And they just, with between one globe and Morales throwing out the beam before throwing out the back, suddenly they're back to full and they can contest the shrine. And that is all you need on Braxis. That is why we see Morales so very frequently. That being said, I don't think I've ever seen a team take that much damage that early on into a Morales, because typically you commit somebody to be the beam target. You force them to be that far out to where the beam is getting absolute value and not trying to spread it onto multiple targets, because that is a very difficult position for Morales. What I guess I'm overall trying to say is that we do see Team 8 going out of their comfort to play a more North American meta towards this map, and that has forced a couple of weird heroes for them to maybe not be as comfortable, and I think mainly for Glarong on Vault.
Yoda getting massive results here from the slow release damage that John on Gul'dan is putting out. Every damage that removes the shield from one of Zarya's targets is going to convert into energy, which will mean bonus damage. He's willingly eating up those corruption hits, and there we go with a fully empowered maximum charge. Yoda starting to put out the pain with his grenades.
And for now, we do see that the bottom lane is obviously falling in favor of Team 8. They have drafted Zarya, and Morales is just absolutely ludicrous into that. Is adding the Falstad and, the Bala on top of it. It only makes it that much better. So right now, I'm trying to look for where is Nomia making up for this onto the map. Is the top lane winning that hard? And the answer is absolutely not. And we are yet to hit the boomerang era, where Falstad will kind of maybe take off a little bit more. And going into hammer games, now he will be able to win the game, or win the lane, excuse me. So
maybe more, maybe the game.
Yeah, Nomia has to find an answer. If you haven't watched enough North American Braxis Holdout, you quickly learn if you don't win the solo and you do not win the 4, you absolutely do not win the game on Braxis.
Well, maybe you can get the boss.
It's got to be a colossal misplay on one side. Yeah, there is a moment, but...
No, but it's a good question, isn't it? How do you oust a Falstad as the Haka when he can shoot you and you can't shoot back? Seems kind of unfair. You know, you got to kind of switch it up. You should not be able to land a tongue on Falstad.
Yeah.
Theory.
Yeah, and I think the short answer is going to be exactly what we saw from Team 8 on the BOE map. They knew they had the weaker 4, so they said, okay, well, we'll just trade. We'll make up for it elsewhere, and that was with the trade, whether it be swapping all 4 or at least committing an absurd amount of resources towards top. Either way, we do have the Shrine phase up. Bottom going to be contested. Team 8 starting with the early cap. For overall, Nomia has done a good job holding top. He hasn't really lost it any.
Yeah.
But obviously, Team 8 hasn't done anything to risk bottom either.
Yeah, we're finding this case where Nomia, despite whatever damage and abilities they have, they might as well not. Like, it seems everything they do, they're like writing words on a piece of paper with a pencil, and Team 8 just keeps erasing it.
Buzz is legitimately the world's biggest eraser. He's just in there
script the eraser
as fast as he can.
2 towers go down. And that is going to stay. That will not be able to be erased.
Yeah, and so now Team 8 has to ask the question, can we get a 4? Are we winning so hard we can get the 4? If the answer is no, you transition the opposite way, you get the swap. If you're winning that hard, which honestly I feel like they are, they'll keep going towards the 4, because it's not like top has been under any pressure at all.
So you don't have to commit as deep all the way to a forward where maybe at the Haka rotate can threaten you?
Yeah, where you can risk anything really, because top is going to be the safer, quick and easy, cheap experience that you can pick up. But obviously bottom is going to reap more rewards for you, considering that you're if you get the Zerg Rush, it'll be pushing top. You can get that forward a little bit later as well. So.
And is this the beginning of it? The rotation, grab a camp on the way? Or
I don't think so.
Back?
I think they're just going to get further their advantage onto bottom.
Sure.
But that being said, Justin obviously getting caught out a little bit. The drag onto
Daka
Glaurung.
came over here. They make it a 5 versus 4. They had to make a move.
They made a move, not successful, at least not yet. The 5 members committed to bottom. Meanwhile, Prisma on top is just going to cap that.
2% though!
You know, it's the small victories, man. Let me know when they capture a little bit more than I can buy in milk, though, right? It's both being captured now. For teammate is going to be ticking up there. Dahake has transitioned towards top, but now Falstad can win the 1v1. So that is going to be, I don't know when they're going to get top or bottom anymore. Now it's hit that threshold, post 7, where Nomia loses both sides and they aren't doing anything to change it. So I'm trying to find the win condition, and outside of huge plays onto Glaurung like that, I don't know if it exists. Robodobo winning for the power slide. John is the follow-up. Gul'dan ends up falling. Vanilla.
He got smacked about a bit. There's a lot of displacement here. Johanna pulled him one way, Morales the other. They're playing tennis with Gul'dan here, and it's not very humane.
It very much is not. 100% Zergo is going to be moving on top. After the front wall, they'll be sitting at, what, 9 3/4? No, a little bit under that. And at that point, 10 is going to be so close. It's just, I'm trying to find the moment for Nomia here, and they gave up at the laning phase. We talked about, what route are they going to go? And
4v4,
once they identified that it was not working out, I really wanted to see them get that swap, because otherwise you sit in this situation. And it is the tail, it feels like, of when North America plays this map.
And I think they felt it was too late. Once they were locked into that stalemate, they felt they could not escape it anymore.
Yeah.
If anything, their decision should have been at level 1. Like you said, maybe don't go for the 4v4, go for the 4v1, 1v4, or maybe the 2 and 3.
Oh, Glaurung going in very hard on
Straight
to Arcaner. He's going to make it out. Expulsion zone. Robodoba here. Power slides right on through.
Well managed.
Yeah, the crisis management very effective here for Nomia.
Now, there's still 3 Guardians and 4 Hydralisks here. They're still going to push with impunity.
You were talking a bit before, and games number 1 and 2 is the lack of emotions in some of the decisions on the side of Nomia. At times that we would see out of them, where they would be very comfortable trying to make the objectively smart decision, not make risks anywhere else. It does seem like, with that thought process, if it was the whole true even through this game, that it feels like they would have made that swap even after getting it wrong at 1. Because it doesn't help anything, though you're like, this sucks. It doesn't get better. Every second makes the situation that much worse, right?
Right, it wasn't one of those learning processes where Zeratul will stop trying to go in because he keeps dying. They kept being ineffective. For all intents and purposes, it didn't look like they had kill potential, and yet they didn't change. That
being said, it's a little unfair because, technically when looking at the objective, though there were many attempts to clash in the 4-man, it's the first time we saw the actual objective captured, so maybe they viewed it as a little bit different. Robodoba there, caught out, ends up going down here. 10 still not picked up.
Just a little bit too late. He stayed there in the forefront as Vanilla was going back for a little bit of a refreshment, and that's going to be a keep down. 12 versus 9, and most harrowing of positioning for Nomia, and they've only just about reached level 10, and at that moment, they have to start some pretty epic fireworks.
It's pretty apparent at this point now, they have to not let that happen again, or things are going to get really bad here.
All right, they're going full balls to the wall. Mosh pit has been taken. Not something like stage dive, which might have offered some control back. They can't really wait for easy as it goes anymore.
Yeah, no, very much not going to be the case. Or rolling the clip. I feel like, as they put it, that's not going to work out here. It's just, I'm very afraid that if we don't see an adjustment from Nomia on this next phase, that would be enough to just put teammate out of control and experience advantage. And hopefully, we've seen this lesson of them learning as the game is going to be moving on, removing the emotions from their decision-making. This is going to be an absolute must point for them. Bud's out of position there. Good job from Robodoba. He moves in. Condemn's going to be used.
This could be it. They have nice position on Morales, but they failed to get the capture on her, that lockdown that they so desperately require. Morales.
Blessed Shield and Gus were used, and really nothing to be gained. That being said, the health bars of Team 8 reside near completed, whereas Nomia not going to be the same story for them. They still have the Mosh. They're looking for plays here. But if you just, there's going to be a drag. Can they get anything? There's going to be the Fear used. Bud's running away from the team.
20% damage on a 100% isolation on Zarya is the best so far that Nomia could get out of that. Of course, they used a number of tools already. And yet, with Moshpit and Twilight Dream up, we should have been able to hope for a little bit more out of that.
One thing as well when looking at Team 8 is they're probably one of the better teams in North America at abusing catapults. Robodo with the flank. Prismat is going to be just fine with the barrel roll. Zoning from Yoda there with the expulsion zone. Will Robodoba make it out? Looks like it will be the case.
Ooh, Hungering Arrow nearly takes him down there.
Yeah. It's 3 catapults are built up on top. What I was going to say, though, originally, look at this zoning attempt, I'm guessing, is what we're looking to do here. Be able to poke them away from the objective, but their teammate will abuse the catapults as soon as possible, faster than almost any other North American team, where most would wait till they actually can threaten the core. They're very comfortable just kind of like weaning them in slowly but surely into their opponents to where they make that bad choice, and that's when we see most of the time teammate get a huge objective and pull ahead, at least out of the North American scene.
Yeah, they're trying to stay as 5 bottom, like you said. Rather than pushing with the catapults and saying it's okay for you to defend this, they make it not okay. They threaten the bottom beacon. They start getting a percentage here and look for them to finish off that fort that has been taunting them since the beginning of the game. This is a 2 versus 0 takedown game, and it could not be less close.
That's a really good way to put that. I've never really thought about it that way. Top was now captured for Nomia. Still going to be looking towards their 13 talents here. Where does Team 8 move with this advantage? Scouting just clearing out. Removing everything there. Justin throwing out the flashlight on Johanna. And they're just going to rotate on top.
I mean, does he have all the knowledge? I guess he knows where a number of them are, mainly ETC, who was always the spearhead of ganks, so he moved very confidently.
Nomia is doing a good job playing Ring Around the Rosie for now. And they're looking for that 13 talents here. Now transitioning directly towards top and nobody committing towards bottom. Dahak is going to be the man to make that happen. I think Team A is going to try and force a gust play before they even let them get to 13, because that's a couple of waves. Top and bottom I don't think are enough, and if that's the case, we're going to see it, and it looks like it's going to be the answer is on top. The scouting drone was skipped, I believe, so they don't know. They should be able to predict this rotation, but they're way out of position. Oh my.
Here we go, they're forcing it. Blessed Shield comes out, expulsion zone on Odin. He's going to be down right as he transforms. It took 2 seconds for him to morph and 2.5 for him to go down. A very strong move here by Teammate. They found their target, they went for it, and they closed it off wonderfully. And that could be the final nail in the coffin here.
Yeah, the Zerg Rush is going to be moving out, but Teammate here, with their ability to pick up this boss, they're going to be closing towards 15 and 16. The Zerg Rush moving the bottom should be enough for 16. Nomia might be able to pull away from core, but and stop this game from ending with this huge push. They may be able to, but even if they do, that double key pressure with no structures up, with 3-level disadvantage, and it being Braxis, and we've already seen how these fights are working. Yeah. I'm not going to say it's impossible. I've seen weird things happen in Heroes, but it's a rare situation to see that.
This could be the longest death animation of today so far, as it looks wonderful for Team 8 here. North America striking back against ANZ in this 1-1. It's an elimination match, and this could be the final march on the core.
They're moving in. Keep already going to be secured. The boss there. Look at Robodoba. You know he's desperate already. Fat 94 onto the backline. There's going to be the Blessed Shield drop. Boss moving on the core. Fear used.
Very nice vault. Dodging the Horrify in the wrong direction. Instead going back to safety.
The Zerg Rush has been completed, or at least removed from the map for now, but the boss still alive. They're falling to 50%. Teammate yet to even make it through the shields yet, but Vanilla's health bar sitting low. Same with Robodoba. Everybody falling and now into retreat. The shield's gonna be going down. Fat 94 moves up here. 88, 85, one gonna be going down. The mosh pit happens onto the back line. Prismat is gonna keep himself up though. Twilight Dream, 3 members dead. Team 8, Odin is only person left here. Arcaner.
No freebies, doesn't get the Zarya there. Teammates, they get the kills. Yoda does go down, but this should be enough as Teammate finishes off the core here and takes the game 2-1.
Team 8 being able to send home there in the elimination match, Australia and New Zealand. But I mean, we have to, we've been saying it, but I now knowing that they're out, what a showing. That was absolutely ridiculous from them. Never have we ever looked at any of the smaller regions as major threats to some of the bigger regions outside of maybe PBA. LATAM seems to be outstanding overall, but ANZ consistently seemed to be that, nobody was really too worried about it. And then we see this unique rendition of 3 of the members have returned time and time again. Then you add on top of it, having John and then also having Vanilla, and they showed up here and had the best international performance they've ever had. I'm really looking forward to the future of ANZ after this tournament.
Couldn't have said it any better. They played a wonderful tournament. Big hand here to ANZ. They've gone out 1-2 and 1-2 in their series. But man, they deserve to be proud of this. I mean,
yeah,
they took people's expectations and threw them out of the building.
It seems like after getting to talk to them a little bit of their own as well, they did take a bit more lackadaisical. Both of these teams felt like we want to figure out where we sit compared to everybody else. Now, we aren't looking to come out with a huge win. We just want to gauge it, and then we want to get better for the next time that we're going to be here. And that being said, they outperform themselves. So what does that mean when they start, they've tasted it a little bit, that they can do it? Like, if they really go back and they put all their heart and soul into it, do we have it to where they are, better than a majority of the North American teams? Are they competing with, number 1 and 2? It's just, where does it stop for ANZ, I feel like, after this?
Well, they're a proper region now, Dreadnought. They've put themselves on the map.
They very much have.
And of course, teammates,
yeah, we're ready.
The series, and it is worthy of admiration as well. Winning this game, normally on paper, maybe you would say, okay, they beat ANZ. This was very respectable by them. Team 8, they continue on. They survive in this tournament. And let's see what they have to say here with our host, Paul.
Thank you very much, Grover. Yes, first of all, congratulations. Through a big sigh of relief there. All of you seem to do that when you walk past. You're like, whew, thank God for that, because that was a tough match. How tough was it, though? Explain to us.
Well, Nomia is actually way better than anticipated. I feel like going into this tournament, I didn't know what to expect from them. We scrimmed them a bit, and considering the amount of practice they have and the teams they have, the depth isn't there, but how good they are is actually really impressive. I think, given time, mid-season brawl, we could see them actually get a pretty good placement.
Yeah, it's hard for them with the practice regime. We were talking to them yesterday. Very difficult for them to find any practice partners down there, so they actually like coming here because they get to play you guys a little bit and scrim in the background. I know that all the teams here that I've talked to so far are very surprised by their level. You've said that they can get better and go on, but let's talk about what you guys did as well, because tough day, isn't it? When you come in and you lose the opening set, how do you change your mindset of coming back up here, facing a team which have already taken a map off Misfits early on? You're kind of like, oh, and then you lose the first game. So how strong have you got to be mentally as a team to come back from that?
Honestly, this entire tournament is going to be a really good learning experience for us. I think if we get over our nerve issues on stage and perform well, we can beat any team here. But it's just a matter of getting used to the stage. We're a new roster. This is for 3 out of 4 members besides me, it's their first international LAN. It's a big deal. So I think it's kind of a good thing in a way. We're going through the losers bracket. It gives us more stage experience. I think that'll be helpful for the rest of this event and also going into future LANs. If we make it to mid-season brawl, I think it'll be really helpful to get this extra LAN experience.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the match itself. Obviously, game 1, you go down after looking quite comfortable early on. Things seem to be working out. And then these guys just got so much resilience. They bounce back, they win. What was the mindset going into game 2? Was the draft slightly different? Were you trying to think about where were they going to go with it?
Honestly, their execution when it comes to wombo combos and things like that is pretty much flawless, and that's really impressive. So in game 2 and 3, we decided to target that and eliminated that from their playstyle, and I think it helped us a lot.
Yeah, definitely did. Game 3, much more comfortable for you. By then, do you think maybe they'd run out a little bit of steam? I saw it in the Misfits game. They won game 1. Game 2 was quite close, and then game 3 they kind of felt it was a very similar kind of pattern, wasn't it?
Yeah. I honestly think it's just because both us and Misfits as teams are a little bit more experienced. We are able to adapt in a set more. I think that by mid-season brawl though, Nomia is going to be a really strong team.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Some good words from you on that. Final word about your team. You said to us yesterday, we were chatting to you, it's all about team synergy for you guys. It's about trust. It's about understanding when you make the calls, they do the calls. Did they do that for you today?
Yeah, I'd say so. Honestly, our set versus Dignitas comes down to my drafting and shot calling, I'd say. we were all a little bit nervous on stage, but hopefully we get over that stuff and play well tomorrow.
We played very well this afternoon. Congrats. They are staying in the tournament. Team 8 continue on way through, and we've had a fantastic set yet again. Unfortunately, Australia and New Zealand have lost their team, but they can be super proud. Let's find out what our analysts made of that one.
Thank you, Red Eye. Team 8 continues on through the lower bracket. Guys, let's take a look at those final moments for Team 8, able to clinch out that victory in game number 3 on Braxis. Kaldor?
It was pretty much flawless. Like, it was a bit anticlimactic after what we've seen on map number 1 and map number 2, but I think it came down to the draft and the map as well, as they already stated. So it was really impressive from Team 8.
I think us as, I guess, EU casters, we're not going to doubt Zarya and Morales as much anymore.
How dare you?
It really felt like Morales, again, was just topping everyone off constantly. There was no real major threat of them ever being killed off. Granted, I think while we were sitting there watching in the background, Kaldor at some point was like, wait a minute, how does ANZ kill anybody? I think we bought a little bit too much into the hype there, and so, you know, Team 8 walking away with it and showing why those heroes in particular can be strong on that battleground.
Everyone likes a good fairy tale, and
It's true.
unfortunately this one was not to be. But we were in a situation where they were forced off of a lot of their comfort heroes. Team 8, like you said, in the draft, played exceptionally. They were able to take away the Falstad, they were able to ban away the Zeratul. They put themselves in the position to win that game.
And Nomia came in, and they should be so proud by this point because they wanted to see where they stacked up. They had 2 new members on that roster, and it turns out they stack up quite well, taking off games versus Misfits and Team 8.
Yeah, if they're not proud of themselves, I'm sure there's 4 people up here that are very proud of them, right? We're super excited for that region. If you're at home, if you stayed up late to watch your teams play, like, cheer for them because they played so well, and they deserve your respect and your love.
I'm a little bit sad for them. They showed extremely close and good series against both teams, and they're out of the tournament right now. This must be a bit devastating. I really hope that they can bring it back in the next tournament.
The saddest part of this is we don't get to see more games from them.
Yeah.
That is the saddest part. They've shown entertaining games against everyone they've played. So
Hey,
it's a shame.
I'm a talent out at level 16.
Exactly.
I don't care.
To take nothing away from Team 8, though. That
Yep.
was exceptional knowledge of the game and of Nomia's draft there. They will have to wait and see who they've got to play against, though. We do have one more losers match coming up. Yeah.
Let's talk through those last few moments before we get into further talking about Team 8. So yeah, the last few moments replay. Trixler, why don't you talk us through it?
Yeah, massive push coming. You have an entire Zerg wave coming. On top of that, a boss heading into you. I do like what Nomia did here. They let their heat fall off, but the moment they could get the boss to look at something else, they played aggressive. Dahaka came in from the side. He broed early because he used adaptation, but the idea is to get Team 8 away from the fight, but Team 8 was relentless. They continued with their push. They moved in with the boss. They put pressure on Vanilla in particular here in the back, so we had to go home and heal, which put the Warriors in a state where if they get isolated, they get picked off. And that eventually happened here with that getting a bit aggressive towards Yoda, especially with that shield going away. You think you can get aggressive, but the knockback was a little bit too much, bringing Dahaka in. Finally, they get that kill, and then from there was all she wrote as they continued to pick members off one by one.
I think they could actually even have defended at this point. Like, they did actually quite well trying to isolate them from the boss, but that kill against the Haka at that point shouldn't happen. He needed to go back a little bit further, wait for the support to
More
come back.
patience.
There's a lot of heroics that they didn't even use there. I feel in the end, one way or another, they were very likely to lose the game after they lost both keeps, but I think in this particular situation, they might have even, with a little bit more experience, been able to save it.
Team 8 continuing on, but humbled by this match and how it really went down. Especially, you know, they did take a game off of Dignitas, but very nearly falling out of the tournament here. And as we talked about before, not expecting to be at that point, Toucher.
No, they didn't expect to be. A couple people were, everyone who's been saying that, yeah, EU looking stronger than NA at this tournament, and currently the winners bracket does show that. But people expected Team Dignitas to maybe be the one that NA had the biggest hope against.
Just a subtle jab. Just make sure you throw it in there. I feel like we're all outnumbered here. Can you just go stand on that half of the desk? Please just all right.
They did that really well.
Thank you.
Just rubbed it in a little bit. And I think the winner's bracket, by the way, shows that.
All right, I'm cutting this off now. I'm cutting it off now. We have one match left. It is the other elimination match between Gale Force Esports and Infamous. We're heading to a break, and when we return, that final match of the night. See you then.